You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Mixology After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Mixology After Show.
I love it. Hi guys, I am your host, Candice Buenrostro, for the After Show for Mixology, and I have a special guest tonight joining me.
I don't know if I'm a special guest. I'm
a special co-host.
I'm filling in for my man Stefan. I'm
and
Stephen
Miriam.
Lemieux and Miriam, of course. I can't fill Miriam's shoes though. She's amazing.
Yes.
I just totally dissed Stefan, I guess.
No, they're both amazing.
You're great, guys. All right, but yeah, Mixology, episode 12. No, that's the wrong show.
No. We are in episode 5. And this week it covers Fab and Dominic, their backstories.
Yep. It was a good episode. It was kind of funny. It just had those like kind of subtle things that are kind of true about a bar. You know, you don't want to try to pick up anyone around the restroom. Like that's not appealing.
No.
Yeah.
You want a table. You don't want to be standing. Also.
I mean, that's true. So you wanna go through Dom and Jessica first?
Yeah, let's go through Dom, Jessica, and Fab, because they have that little competition with Dominic the bartender, who can get him. And it turns out that Fab did win, but in the end, of course, he played his music and it was awful, and she was over it.
In the end, everyone loses.
Yes.
Which goes back to why we played the sexy sax man, because there's way too much sex. And I love that he's playing guitar in everything we see, and then his whole music is sax man.
It's depressing.
Terrible, like 70s, 80s sax music.
You know, I love it how Fab, she got up and she walked out and she was like, okay, how long have you been at this music thing? And he's like, 2 weeks. And she's like, really? I've been at this my entire life and I still fail. And he's just like, oh, okay.
Well, the same goes for, I mean, what they were doing was they were tying their stories together as these are two characters who are after the same goal. They both have artistic goals that they want to accomplish, and when they connect, they're connecting on, oh man, this is somebody who kind of I can connect with. They've worked hard for their dreams, and they just ended up having to put them on the sidelines. I've worked for my dream, and I've ended up having to put it on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. But what she doesn't know is his backstory, which turns out that he was born the sexiest baby alive.
Never had to work for anything in his life. And
women just threw themselves at him his whole life, and then he finally found his refuge in music, but then his producer was a lady who just wanted to have sex with him anyway, so she just produced him to be like this
naked guy.
What was the album title? It showed him like hanging himself by a noose.
Oh, it was called He's Hung.
Yeah, He's Hung, like a red background, him like in bondage gear, hanging himself by a noose.
And the original, I think he was supposed to be in a jungle or something very out there.
That's what the green screen's for, okay? So that was pretty funny, but then he gave up on his music career after 2 weeks. Which, to him, 2 weeks of being denied is like so much when he's like this perfect person who everything is handed to him on a plate. Like he walked in to get the job, and it's like, oh, here you go, you're a bartender now. So he tells her this. He's like, oh, I tried for 2 weeks, and she's just like, what?
It's kind of like a slap in the face to her in a sense, because she's worked hard for, like she said, she's worked hard for everything her entire life, and here she thinks she could, talk to him about, their creative artsy stuff, and, finds out like, oh, yeah, no, 2 weeks, I'm over it. She's like, really? But I thought that was funny that she just got up and she didn't even have sex with him.
Well, yeah, you kind of, I guess with hookups, you got to have at least some semblance of respect from just not knowing them. Yeah. But once you lose respect, it's just kind of like,
Now, do you think she dropped the drink on Jessica on purpose, or was it on accident so she can get that alone time with him.
Totally on purpose.
You think? Okay.
Totally on purpose. Because there's no reason she would reach for the drink to try it.
And what was the drink that Jessica created to get close
Dutch
to them?
orgy.
A Dutch orgy. Does that exist in real life, or does she?
Wait, you've never had a Dutch orgy?
No.
Really?
Does it? Are you
Okay, so you make a Dutch orgy by... No, I'm just messing. No, it's just... There's an old game that you can play where if you take a nationality and an adjective, I guess in this case it was a verb, you can create... It either works as drinks or it works as sexual positions or things like that.
Okay.
Try it. Just take a city name and take a random word and put it together.
Okay. Los Angeles. And a random word?
Yeah, just a random word.
Los Angeles car.
That's the lamest one ever. People like to use words like Boston. People like to use words
New
like
York.
Cleveland, New York.
Okay.
It's like, have you ever had a New York Gainer? That sounds like a drink. It's not a drink. It's nothing. But if you put a city name before a word, there you go.
What about a Boston lover?
That sounds like a drink.
Yeah.
It sounds
I'm
like
proud of
there you
myself.
go.
I made a drink.
Yeah, you made a drink. Boston works really well.
Yeah, okay.
Because everything related. Never mind. Everything related to Boston just sounds like a drink. I don't know.
And you know, the sad thing, I should know this. I used to bartend.
Well, there you go. People make up drinks all the time at the bar, and they try to tell the bartender that it's a drink, and it's not. But yeah, so she's not having it because, of course, we find out that she was on she moved to Paris, which turned out to not be fun because of French guys who look like what's that guy's name? The comedian Russell Brand.
Oh man.
He looked just like Russell Brand, and he's just like.
Hey
She's
guys.
sewing, working overtime. Nobody likes that. And then she finally gets her big break, flying out to
work for the I think she's still in the Pussycat Dolls. Nicole Scherzinger. Scherzinger, yeah.
Nicole Scherzinger, and she's a total bitch to her.
Yeah.
Total bitch. And it really reminded me of Zoolander. It's like, I'm sorry, is my pin too big for your ass? It's because she's like doing the thing, and it's like, no, it's still not good. I came here all the way to be in this hot weather and wear your crappy clothes that you apparently spent months on creating for me. Well, screw you, you're fired. And that's her thing. But that's like, she worked hard to get to where she was. She worked hard for her dream, and then it just kind of crumbled because of terrible people. Mm-hmm. But he's like, he worked hard for his dream for 2 weeks, and then, yeah.
Well, to him, that's what working hard is. He's never had to struggle like most people. So, I mean, in a sense, I think Jess and Fab, I think they both want each other's life, actually. They're kind of like, I think Fab would want that, you know, to have children, kind of settle down and see how that is. And Jessica, you know, wishes she could have went to Paris and be with all those dirty French guys.
So I got to ask you, from your experience,
Yes.
is it as obvious to guys as it is to girls when somebody wants to have sex with you? Like, because the bartender's just like, yeah, these two women just want to have sex with me.
No, for me, no, not so much. I don't know. It just depends. Actually, there are some people that are just really like blunt, like, okay, like you just come on really, really strong and you can tell, and it's kind of like, oh, you're in my space, get out of my little space. But for the most part, some people are slick about it. But
okay, because
I don't know. What about for a guy?
I mean, they were being pretty obvious, and
Yeah.
for a guy, sometimes it's super obvious, and you're just like, the problem is you go to the bar because you're trying to meet someone, you're trying to look for the connection. That's the allure of the show, Mixology, is because a lot of people do this. They do go to bars to try to meet somebody new, because maybe, hopefully, in this crazy world, they'll meet someone they connect with, and maybe something will happen, even though bars are like the worst place to meet a future significant other. True. But they do it anyway. And in this case, it's just super obvious, and some people just... Maybe you go there because you want to have sex with somebody, but if somebody comes up to you and they're being super forward, it really just puts you off.
True.
It really does, because as much as you might want to have sex at that moment, you're more put off by like, because guys, we're so used to doing the chasing.
Exactly.
So like when women start doing the chasing, it's super obvious to us, and then we're just like kind of like, well, if I'm being chased, I don't really know like what to do, because I'm used to kind of being the one on the chase. So you don't, when the tables are turned, it's an uncomfortable feeling.
No, that's very true for most women. I think, in the sense, when you start chasing the guy or you show more interest in them, they're kind of like, okay. But if you show like, whatever, then they start chasing you, and then that's how it usually works.
So that's kind of what's going on with them. She gets her drink spilled on her dress, and then she's in the bathroom cleaning it off for a while. Finally, Fab leaves him, calling him an idiot, and he's just like, nobody's ever been that hard on me before.
And he's gonna fall in love with her. That's a prediction.
Yeah, there you go, right there. Well, we're kind of seeing who everyone's gonna end up with at the end of the night at this point, because you're really thinking that what is his name? Cal, that Cal's going to end up with Casey. You think that Bruce is going to end up with Jessica. You think that Dom's going to end up with Fab now. And now Tom is going to end up with
Maya. And Liv and Ron. Oh, we don't know about that.
Well, Liv and Ron are like the hopeful.
Yes.
But like there's always the awkward moment where you totally screw something up and you don't know whether you can do it back. And that's kind of what Cal and Casey are going through right now. I mean, he screwed it up, but she screwed it up, but they're in that kind of awkward phase where they're either never going to talk to each other again, or one of them is going to make the move to make this come around and have it be
apologize.
Something. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, because she's got to understand, it's like, look, dude, I mean, I saw you hug the bartender after I just found out you slept with him 20 minutes ago. Like, I mean, do you blame me? Plus, you got 2 burgers. I mean, you're full now. Yay.
Good mood.
Grass-fed beef. Gotta love it.
Yeah, so let's move on to Bruce, Cal, and Tom. Their operation was just to get that booth.
Operation Booth Infiltration.
And it's true. Nobody wants to meet a guy. I don't want to talk to a guy by a bathroom or that's standing up against a wall. It's nice to come and, cozy and hang out in a booth.
Well, the booth is good. Like the show likes to play on like the rules of the bar. And these writers have kind of written the rules.
I love these writers.
They're very good at this because it's those common sense things that happen in real life that you don't even really think about, but when you do, then it becomes that. Because the booth, when you have 3 guys, the goal is to get like 3 girls. And when there's 2 guys on the outside, followed by a girl, followed by the guy and his girl, then the girls are going to be more likely to not ask to get out. And then if one of their friends wants to stay, the other ones aren't going to want to leave. It kind of just makes it as the central hub for the bar. Because if they go to the bathroom, they can leave their purse there, go to the bathroom and come back, but then they're naturally going to come back as opposed to, hey, we're standing up, she doesn't want to leave her purse here, so she's going to take it with her, and then that leaves the opportunity for her to come out of the bathroom and somebody else start talking to her, and then you're screwed because you were standing up, you didn't have a booth. You didn't have your base of operations.
There you go. And so Tom and Bruce, they went to go get some women for the booth, and they left Cal there to babysit the booth. And what does Cal do? He sees a beautiful model, and she asks, can I bring my model friends? But she didn't specify there were girls or guys.
Have you ever done that where, I'm going back on Cal holding down the booth one-manned. Have you ever done that where you just feel awkward when you go to a restaurant and they sit you, you go with your girlfriend, you go on a date or something, and they give you this gigantic table?
Yes.
And you're just like, because the problem with that is if it's just the 2 of you, you have no excuse to get closer. It's kind of like, hey Candice, how you doing over there?
I'm doing good.
It's like, here, let me slide around. It just doesn't work, and it's kind of awkward. So seeing him I'm holding down the booth. Holding it down, guys.
It doesn't...
It's funny.
Or when you're going to a birthday party and everyone shows up late and you're the first one to arrive on time and it's a party of 20 and there's just 3 people, like you said, spread out, one person here, one person there, and one person there. So
always awkward. But yeah, then she's like, hey, I got a bunch of friends. They're a little drunk, but they're all models. They'd like to sit at the booth with us.
She knew what she was doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Women are devious. That's why you got to see the models before you give it up to the models. That
Good
sounded
point.
Totally out of context. Please don't make a sound drop of that, Marissa. But yeah, so they're all male models. Bruce has his 2 girls. Like, hey, these are 2 random girls I met at the bar. All right, Bruce, standards high as always. And then we get Tom, who got Maya and Casey because they're trying to get out.
Got Maya and Liv. He picked up
Maya and Liv. Yeah,
yes,
sorry guys.
He kind of killed it for Ron.
I think Ron killed it for Ron.
I know. No, Casey killed it for Ron.
Ron kind of killed it for Ron because you can come back from that.
You think so?
You can come back from that.
How would you have come back from that?
Look, if somebody walks up to you saying they've had sex with you and you don't know who they are and you've never seen them before, be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the wrong person.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he shot himself in the foot when he acknowledged that he might have had sex with her.
True.
That's the thing that shoots you in the foot. If somebody walks up to you, like if I walked up to you and was like, oh, we had a great night the other night, and you were in front of your
What? Say
boyfriend,
what? Who
exactly,
are
like who the hell are you?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be like, oh, was it
Yeah.
That's how he shot himself in the foot. It was a misunderstanding that he just messed up badly, and it clued into the fact that he's probably had so many girls from this bar, from this area, that he just doesn't even remember their names, doesn't remember that. And then when it comes to like, oh, it's more closer to 200 maybe.
And I love how he said it's because I'm British. We like to have fun and a good time. So it's like
We're open with our body parts.
Yes.
Open with my man parts.
Yes.
Okay, guys. 101, you don't discuss your number the first time you're meeting someone, especially the first night. You don't discuss your number the second time or third or fourth time.
Never.
You just don't discuss your number. Your number can just stay with you because nobody tells the truth anyway, so there's no even point discussing it. And if you're going to tell the truth, you just shouldn't if it's over like 150. Like that's
No, you shouldn't. And for a woman, I don't know if this movie is similar to this. It's called What's Your Number with Anna Fair. I love her in this movie. It's funny because in the movie she read an article in Cosmo that any woman that goes over 20 in her lifetime, she's never getting married. So the whole movie she goes about trying to find like her ex-partners. But anyways, it's just kind of like, this Ron thing, he should have kind of like just picked a number and went with it, like 5 or 10, not like acknowledged like 100. Like, what was he thinking?
It's terrible. Guys lie to their friends about their number.
Really?
Yeah, of course they do. Because they want a better story. I mean, the whole of humanity is based on exaggeration. True. Every great tale of Vikings, every great tale told through the century is an exaggeration of something that's fairly normal, but it doesn't sound cool to say. And then when their friends tell it, they exaggerate it even more. I mean, life is just a big freaking game of telephone if you really think about it. And when you're talking about your number, there's so many times guys will just lie about it because they want their friends to be like, oh, that's so sick. And in this case, it's sad if he wasn't lying about it. Because then everything he says doesn't hold water. It's like, oh, finally a girl I like. It's like, I mean, you say that you met her tonight, and you're kind of just like trading boxers back and forth. And I mean, you're having your fun games, but really, like, if your number's over 100, man, that's kind of, I mean.
You're having a connection, you think, for the night.
Yeah, I mean, I've had girls tell me their number before. And like, it doesn't really put me off that much, but when it's like super high. What's the biggest number
you've got?
What's the biggest number
somebody's told you?
You mean like that somebody's told me?
Yeah.
I think like below 20. And like that's for somebody who's like in their mid to late 20s, that's kind of like okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 365 days in a year. You got to say that.
Yeah.
But for somebody to say over 100 to somebody say over like 30, over 40, that's kind of like
gross.
Okay, well, we can like hang out, but you better be showing me some papers if we're gonna do anything because that's crazy. That's gross. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a terrible analogy out there, and I'm gonna get called sexist for this, but somebody's like, well, why is it terrible when I sleep with a bunch of people, but when you sleep with a bunch of people, it's wrong. It's like, well, a key that opens a lot of locks is a master key, but a lock that's opened by any key, it's a pretty terrible lock.
That's awful.
It's been going around, that saying's been going around for a while. I'm probably not usually said on air, but
well, and also there's another analogy to that too, why it's kind of okay for men to be more, promiscuous than women and they don't get as attached as women because as a man you enter and you leave, but as a woman we take it in and then it's more like, you know, I'm saying this wrong. But you know what I'm saying? It's more like they get like attached and emotional, and the man could just like leave, and you know he doesn't have any attachments to it. So.
Guys do get that's a common misconception though. Guys do get attached and emotional. It's just kind of like you gotta weigh it though, and it's different because as guys you just wrap it and you're good. As women it's kind of like it's different, and it's kind of more. I mean, I don't really know how to explain it.
There's like a connection. You get a little attachment.
It's a different connotation for different people, and it's like I know it's sexist to say that in some respects, but at the same time, we are different people. Like it's different anatomies. There's different things going on. So people think different. You don't know. I can't tell you what you think, and you can't tell me what I think unless you can read minds, which I don't think you can. So after our sexy number tangent, let's
let's move on.
I mean, Dom shot himself in the foot.
Yes.
And they walk away.
And then Casey sees Ron in the light and notices like, oh my gosh, I thought you were so and so. I forget the name. And she's like, you're not him. And he's like, no. I kind of wish he would have got her to go over and tell Liv like, oh, she made a mistake. But I think
that's even worse though. You bring a girl who you kind of admitted to you might have had sex with, and then you bring her over and have her say, hey, I didn't have sex with him. Yeah, that's not going to fly. No. She'd be like, that's really weird. He went and talked to her and made her come over here to tell me that, and I barely know this guy. Yeah. It's interesting, though, that this show is all filmed supposed to be in one night.
I love it, though. It's the writers are doing a really good job of keeping you intrigued and just guessing what comes next and interested in it also. So.
And who is going to end up with who.
Yes.
And I'm actually going to change what I said earlier. I think maybe we'll see only one or two people get together. I don't think everyone's going to go home because at the end of the night, if they're going to play on the reality of the bar situation, you know, there's people who go to bars and they just randomly hook up. There's people who
are going looking for love.
Go to bars looking for love. But 9 times out of 10, you go to the bar looking for these things and you go home alone. And I mean, that's the reality of it. It is. So, you know, they're playing this up, and you do have those random connections that you run into at a bar, and then you kind of split off, and then you might see them again that night, or you might not. But all in all, even if you do, you either get a number and that's it, or you get like a kiss, but then you go home and you're alone. So I could see the season finale being most of them just end up home alone.
Because that's the reality of what happens.
That's the reality of what happens. Wow, that was really depressing. Oh, man. So what else do we have to cover here?
Let's get into some predictions.
Well, did we cover all the characters?
We did. We got Liv, Ron, Maya, Casey. We got her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Go for it.
I mean, I just said my prediction. That was for the finale, which is in how many weeks?
The finale, I believe this is eight. Marissa, is it 8 episode or 13 episode order?
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, but
I think we got a few more episodes.
I think we got a few more episodes left.
But yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna see. Okay, here. Let's rephrase predictions.
Okay.
If we can choose one people to get together at the end of the night to go home together, who would you think it would be?
I am team Liv and Ron. I just want them to hook up, be together. I don't think she's supposed to be with her fiance. I think they're destined to be together.
Okay, I think Liv's gonna break up with her fiance, but she's not gonna get up with Ron. I think Ron is the temptation that makes her realize she's not right for her fiance, but I don't think Ron is the right guy for her.
No, you see, I think Liv is going to be the one to make Ron change. I know. There's that saying you can never change a man in his ways, but I think she's going to be the one.
I don't know why women are so obsessed with finding a guy they can change.
It's because it's like a little goal. It's a little challenge.
Yeah, but once you change him, he's not who you love anymore. I mean, that's it. And then if you can't change him, it just drives you crazy. You need to find somebody who you don't want to change, who you just like how they are. Girls, seriously. I think it's going to be Maya and Tom.
Maya and Tom?
I think it's going to be Maya and Tom who probably end up going home alone, but they're the ones who they'll clue into they have something starting up. And then as far as going home for the hookup, Fab's going to go home alone. And what's her name? Jessica?
Jessica.
Jessica's going to go home with Bruce.
I think so too. But you know what? I think Dominic and Fab are going to have like a little connection just because she told him off. And he's like, holy crap.
But that might be going into next season.
Next season, yeah season 2.
I don't think they'd pull that out this episode unless he makes a move at her in like the next few episodes.
True.
All right. I mean, that's it.
That's all we got.
Where can we find you, Candice?
You can find me at Candy Buen, CandiBuen on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can find me at Stephen Lemieux on Twitter, StephenLemieux, one of these sides here, as well as on the Twisted After Show and the Helix After Show, both finales this week. Be sure to check them out. Thank you again for tuning us in for the Mixology. Thank you for letting me be in the panel today.
Thank you for being here, so I wouldn't be solo.
You'll have your Miriam and Stefan back next week. You can find Stefan at I Am More Fire and Miriam Gonzalez at
Miriam Gonzalez on Facebook.
Miriam L. Gonzalez.
Miriam L. Gonzalez.
And there's
Marissa.
13 episodes.
13, so we got 5 more?
We got, can we do it?
This was
Math?
8.
Yeah, so this
So
is
we got
episode 5, so we got
9,
8
10,
more.
11, 12, 5 more. 5 more.
5 more.
Yes, if this is 8 and there's 13, 5 more.
Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.